The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
We discuss all the issues, municipal, provincial, federal, and any issue of national importance. We will talk about on Point. Welcome to On Point, your political and current affairs talk show program. We're here on this Tuesday, October the 29th, broadcasting to you again live from the studios here at TCN Network. This evening, coming up on the program, we have the NDP Deputy Leader and MPP for Brampton Centre, Ms. Sara Singh, who will be joining us. So stay tuned for that conversation. But before we get there, we have for the first time joining us the president of GIDSSYC organization right here in the city of Brampton, and Brampton resident Mr. Cody Vatcher, who is joining us. Cody, thanks for coming on. Good to have you.
Well, thanks, Jermaine, for having me. It's great to be here for the first time. At this time, I'm just getting home from work, and this is usually the first thing I watch on a Tuesday evening.
All right, good to have you on the program. So lots to talk about in our program this evening. Let's get to a few of it. Cody, we received news this week, and we broke this story on Point. The municipal review that the fourth government decided that they will not make any major changes to the regional structure. What's your view on that? Did that caught you by surprise? What's your view on their decision?
I think if you would have asked me 4 or 5 months ago, I would have been in the same position that a lot of people in the city of Brampton has been, and that they were going to somehow change it. A couple weeks before this announcement, I was pretty confident. I was willing to bet my money that they were going to keep it the same. It's always been Brampton's position that, in the region appeal, the better municipalities work together to share the costs of police, fire, paramedics, whether it be the maintenance of roads. It helps everybody out. Regional government isn't perfect. I don't think any government is perfect. But I hope that at the very least that we learn from, this review is some of those things that we can change, right?
Yes, so we're going to get a bit more into that. As I said, we're hoping that, stay tuned with us, because next week we are going to have the minister, Mr. Steve Clark himself, joining us to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the results of the review and how they arrived at this decision. But the amalgamation that people are talking about is not going to happen, or the separations that some people were talking about is actually not going to happen. So we're going to remain as one unit. The government has committed that they will add some more funds and boost up the coffers for regional municipalities. So that's a good thing.
Well, just imagine what it would do to Brampton City Council if it, amalgamated, split up, whatever which way there was going to be a redrawing of the boundaries, right? One of the rumors was that it would be matched to the federal and provincial levels. If you do that, then you're going to have incumbents running against each other, and then for the next couple of years, whether they decided to have that election next year following the review, or even, if you drag it out to the next scheduled municipal election, you're going to have colleagues fighting each other to see who can climb to the top at the end, right?
Hold that point. Stay with us. We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, lots more to consider from this and other things making it in the news. This is On Point. Stay with us.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Welcome back to On Point, your current affairs program. So we're talking about a quick look at the regional review and the decision by the Ford government to leave it as it is. Let's play the clip, because we had the premiere on this program, Cody, a few weeks ago, and we asked him about what was his plan, and he gave us a hint. So let's play that clip and let's see. No great surprises there for those who stay tuned to On Point. Let's play that clip to hear what the premier had to say when he was here.
Come up with us. My time is going like crazy. Will we have a city of Peel, or are we going to have just city of Brampton, city of Mississauga, city of Caledon? Are you dissolving, amalgamating? What are you doing to the city of Brampton?
Well, the minister is going to be rolling that out, so I can't unroll. I know, but I can't unroll it before the minister. But we believe it's working pretty good in Peel the way it is.
Okay, that's a good hint right there.
Yeah.
So let's move.
He said he liked it the way it is, Cody, and apparently they have delivered on that.
Yeah.
They like it the way it is. But a few things that we have to look at, though. I mean, even though they have not amalgamated or dissolved the region and have standalone cities as Mississauga wanted, there are a few things that we're not very clear on. Yeah. And I'm hoping that when we get the minister on, we can shed some light on that. So, for example, for the first time, we were scheduled to have a direct election for the regional chair. And that was placed on hold while we do this review. Right. So what would you like to see? Would you like to see us go back to that or go to that new model where we directly elect the regional chair, or stick with the old model where we get into a room and we just try to figure out? What's your thought there?
Well, I'm sort of in the middle on it. I haven't really seen the pros and the cons of why it would be good. Of course, it would be great to hand it back to the people and to have them to vote on who they think should, chair those meetings. But I just think that when the previous Liberal government had sent those changes down, there was a lot of criticism of, you didn't look at both sides, right? Or you didn't study it thoroughly enough. That could be so. I don't know. I'm not the expert on that. But I'd be willing to say that, what if the premier right now decided to change it back and he's not premier in 4 years? What if another government comes in and says, what, let's keep on changing it back and forth? That's a mess. So I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the best way to put it.
There's some amount of stability that is needed, but I think one of the things that with a direct election of regional chair, at least you'd have people who put their platforms forward,
right?
And then you have something that you're able to hold them to account for. You can say, you did promise this while your campaign, and therefore people will feel a little bit more connected, right, to the region than they are right now, because. I think the large majority of individuals within Peel are not so sure what direction Mr. Nayunka is going. The current chair is going, because there was no platform. He didn't have to go to the people and say, this is what I want to accomplish. So I'm thinking that there might be some merit in getting back to that system. And let's look at that a bit more. Because
and also, too, to even further your point, if you have a sitting member of regional council who wants to put their name forward and they happen to win, like during the last term, you automatically trigger a by-election. A by-election that costs taxpayers more money, and that comes out of our pockets. So, there's obviously that's a big thing to look at too, right?
Let's go a few more things, and I probably shall try to get my friend on here, because Brampton's current mayor, Patrick Brown, had indicated before that he wanted this regional chair position, and he came to Peel prepared. to campaign for
Right.
this position.
Mhm.
But when the government changes the requirements, then he ended up campaigning to become mayor of Brampton.
Yeah.
So should they reopen this? I mean, lots of speculations are circulating now. Should they reopen this position? Would we likely see Brampton's mayor going to run for regional chair? Do you see it happening?
Do I see him happening? I don't think so. I think he's happy where he is, and I know he's a good friend of both you and I, and no matter no matter what capacity he served in public life, he's always stood up for his community wherever it is, and you know what? I think he's doing a great job right now. I think
yeah,
he's
for sure.
enjoying what he's doing. So you know what? He would say the same thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't think he would want to.
All right. So you don't think you want to jump there? We'll see what happens, because that some for sure, some vacancy might be created there the next time around for regional chair. Let's go some other issues. Brampton was back in the news again at Queen's Park. Queen's Park resumed sitting yesterday after a long, almost 5 months of break from Queen's Park. They resumed yesterday. Today, the opposition was back again talking about Brampton Hospital.
Right.
The overcrowding at Brampton Hospital, and the fact that we were operating at about 106 between us and the Tobico Hospital, 106% above capacity.
Right.
104% of capacity. Healthcare continues to be a big thing in Brampton. We have to do something to get the provincial attention.
Right.
How do you think are we going to continue to champion that cause, to say to the province, hey, listen, this is a serious situation here in the city of Brampton?
Well, the system is broken. The system is a mess. It's not our frontline workers. They do an amazing job every single day to provide the best care that they can. I think that the New Democrats, the opposition, that's been one of their big things. And sure enough, the New Democrats at the federal level, they've also brought it up. They brought it up during the federal campaign. Jermaine Singh, he was in Brampton during the first couple of days of the campaign. I think one of the things that really brought it to the forefront was this, fair deal for healthcare petition. I had knocked doors with my local councillor to get community support for it. And so far as I know, I think we're almost at the date where they're going to send that to the province. And I'm sort of hoping that, with the legislature back and this petition done, that we can start getting some adequate funding for healthcare, because I remember the last healthcare announcement I was at was when former healthcare minister Eric Hoskins came to Brampton, and we rolled out the red carpet for them. We let them walk into our city, and we let them announce 3 beds, right? The former mayor stood up there, and she thanked them for their leadership, and we didn't get anything out of that.
Let's jump on something else, because we only have 2 minutes left in this segment here. So you mentioned, for example, the federal NDP during the last election made commitments on healthcare.
Right.
And at the same time, the people of Brampton talk a lot about the need for additional healthcare.
Right.
What do you make of the fact that even in the last federal election, when the leader of the NDP came to Brampton and specifically promised that he would make a second hospital here should he be elected, but that still we still have all Liberals being re-elected, and the NDP came in a third place position. How do we reconcile those two? If healthcare should be one of our primary needs, but just still the party who's promising it is voted in third place. How do we reconcile all that?
Well, you know what? I think that's something that the NDP and the Conservative Party really have to look hard at, because all throughout the election, right, you know yourself, as we saw from the Liberal government, we saw scandal, we saw a lot of questions as to the leadership of the current Prime Minister, and the Liberals were reelected by wide margins, right? and kudos to them. They got reelected. They won 4 more years. I think that's going to take a little bit of time to find the answer to. I don't know. It comes down to, obviously, the first thing people want to blame is the leader. I think it's more than that. It all depends on how you deliver your message, right? Some of the candidates in Brampton for the NDP, they arrived fairly late to the game. I don't think I have the answer as to why it didn't resonate.
So we're not saying, I think it is that it's not because people don't think that healthcare is important,
Right.
but you think there might be other issues surrounding
Right.
that. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more to talk about. Stay tuned with us. Hopefully, very shortly we'll be joined by the NDP Deputy Leader right here on Point. Stay with us. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
World-famous spiritual astrologer and psychic PanelistSci is born to serve people. He's an expert on palmistry and horoscope. He can handle all problems and give Vedic solutions for business, job, love, marriage, husband and wife problems, children, personal, and many others, including depression. He also performs pujas to clear all sorts of obstacles. Call PanelistSci and see changes in your life now. 647-766-1419. Located at 2895 Derry Road, East Mississauga, Airport Road and Derry.
Welcome back to On Point. We are still here with my friend Cody, and we are still talking about some Brampton priorities. The legislature is back after a big 5-month break. We want to take a look at what are some of our expectations. Now, we do expect them to give a lot to Brampton. Cody, crime, violence has been a big thing popping up in Brampton. It's a matter of a concern for a lot of residents. Our mayor as well has been talking about some of these things, right? You know, as Queen's Park comes back, you know, what are some of the other things? You know, apart from working on healthcare, which we know is very important, what are some of those other things that you would love to see Queen's Park deliver for us, the residents of Brampton?
Other than crime and...
No, other than the hospital. So crime, for example, is a big thing. You know, what do you expect them to do on the crime portfolio here?
Well, there's a number of different things. Obviously, it's so hard to wake up every morning and to see that, you know, on the 410, there are gangbangers and thugs targeting people on the highway. You know, one day you're driving down the highway. What happens if, you know, the person you have to take out is driving a black Dodge Dart and I'm driving a black Dodge Dart, right? It's hard. I mean, I'm not saying, I think that we've had enough town halls. I think we've had enough chatter. I think we all agree that there needs to be more adequate policing, right? Working with communities as well as police officer numbers. We have a new police chief that's coming in. So far, I think he's out there. He's doing his job. From the provincial government, obviously, we need more judges in the system. We need to fix that backlog. At the federal government, we need to have tighter bail restrictions because, as it stands, if I go and I break into, let's say, Freezerland, that was just broken into, one of, an area in my community somewhere, a business that I care very strongly about, chances are if they caught that person, they locked them up. If they had the money for the bail, they'd be out the next day, right? And that's the same thing with gun offenses, right? So we can give police officers the resources they need to capture the bad guys, but when you go to jail and you're supposed to be locked up, you're supposed to think about what you've done, you're supposed to reconcile, and you're supposed to rehabilitate.
We expect them to do that. Yes.
Right. So that's sort of what I expect. I expect the municipal government, I think, is doing their job. I think that the provincial government is doing a good job in areas like Toronto, but we need to see that cash flow to Peel region.
One thing that we see that the Brampton mayor is advocating for is for cameras.
Right.
Along the 410, cameras along the 403.
Right.
That we could basically capture exactly what is happening on our streets, what's happening on our highways, and hopefully that will kind of lead to more arrests being made. But as you rightly say, once the arrests are being made, we need to be able to ensure that these people are paying adequately for their crimes, and given time to reflect and to be rehabilitated.
Right. Because if I drive with my cell phone in my hand, there's accountability. You go to a court, you pay a fine, and you learn your lesson, right? There's no getting out of that fine. And it seems that there isn't a buffer when it comes to violent crimes, whether it's with a handgun, a knife, a golf club. And that really frustrates people to see that, we keep re-electing politicians and electing them based on their stance on crime. So I think it just requires continuing to stand up.
So one of the things as well, you mentioned that as Queen's Park gets back into session, one of the things we have seen since yesterday, Cody, is as you mentioned earlier, a change in tone, so to speak. Queen's Park for the first year and a couple of months have been very combative. Western periods have been very difficult and combative. But we're hoping to see a different kind of tone yesterday and today as well. How optimistic are you that the governments, at Queen's Park are now realizing the need to kind of set a different kind of tone from what we saw coming out of the election, even though it was a federal election, but even at Queen's Park, your expectations there in terms of seeing them working together and changing the tone?
Well, obviously the opposition has a job to do, and they're supposed to hold the government to account at every single turn. It doesn't matter whether they do something good or bad, they're supposed to scrutinize. But that being said, I mean, if the government does do something good, then whether it be the media or whether it be the opposition parties, they have to give that credit, right?
A good friend of mine always said there's no monopoly on good ideas.
Exactly. He's a good friend of mine too. So I think that there will be a tone change in the sense of being more collaborative with the other side. When Doug Ford took over, I don't think that his intention was to hurt people. I don't think his intention was ever to do any bad to the city of Brampton or anybody else. I think he did the best that he could with the mess that he had been given by the Liberal government. And you know what? Like he said, he was on here the other day, and he said, you learn and you try to move on. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to see that we move past this divisiveness, and I hope that that tone change includes having an official meeting with the mayor of Brampton when he does come to Brampton. Because since Patrick Brown was elected, there hasn't been an official dialogue, right?
Not directly with the premier.
Right.
I think they had conversation with other ministers at
Right.
AMO conference
Right.
that they have. But that's important. It's important that the people of Brampton, the people of Peel, see their representatives sitting down at all levels of government together to work on the issues that are of very good importance to them. So that's important.
But just reflecting on the last year, there were obviously some good and some bad things that happened. I think the difference is now is that we've had a year to see what works and what doesn't. I think we've been hearing a lot more of what hasn't worked. But I'm optimistic that if Premier Ford is genuine about what he said on your show and what he said across the board, is that we can move forward, including working with the opposition, because it doesn't matter if you're the Liberal Party now with 6 seats, or you're the opposition, or you're the government. Everybody has a good idea to pick from their side, and I think that that's worth listening to, because we at the end of the day, we all want the same thing for our community, and it doesn't matter which color it should come from. Right?
That's important.
Right?
And as well, I mean, we saw during the election campaign, for example, that the last federal election campaign, that the Liberal leader had a lot of attacks for the Ontario Premier. How do you see them reconciling that relationship? Because whether it's the next 4 years or the next 2 years, they both need to work together to get something done for Ontario. We have the Ontario line, but that is dependent on funding from the federal government. So do you also, as well as seeing the relationship between Queen's Park and Brampton, do you foresee the relationship between Queen's Park and Ottawa needing some work as well?
Well, I think that's up to both sides. As a leader of any level of government, you're supposed to advocate for your constituents. And I think Premier Ford, when he was on CP Tour 24 the other day, he made a really good point. Is that Premier Ford, a lot of the seats he won, a lot of those voters who voted for him voted for Justin Trudeau, right? So they both share constituents. I mean, at the end of the day, they serve them all. But I think that's something that is A, humbling, but B, they have to look at. And look, when you're a leader, it's tough, it's a strain, it's stressful. But what I like to do is start with what you can work on together to get done. And I hope that Premier Ford and Justin Trudeau, when they do say they want to work together, that they genuinely mean it. Right?
All right, that's it. Stay tuned with us. We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will continue the conversation here on Point. Stay with us.
World-famous spiritual astrologer and psychic Pandit Sai is born to serve people. He's an expert on palmistry and horoscope. He can handle all problems and give Vedic solutions for business, job, love, marriage, husband and wife problems, children, personal, and many others, including depression. He also performs pujas to clear all sorts of obstacles. Call Pandit Sai and see changes in your life now. 647-766-1419. Located at 2895 Derry Road, East Mississauga, Airport Road and Derry.
talking with Cody as we look at some of the issues that are of importance to all of us as Canadians. We are looking at a number of things that has been happening, Cody. We new MPs, those who were just voted in, are off to Ottawa already, and they are now doing their orientation as to learn about the different places and what they should do as MPs. And we're hoping that you stay with us because next week we will have one of those new MPs on the program with us, who will share in their experience about the orientation process and what to expect and what they hope to accomplish as a new MP. A lot has been made about the leaders of the different political parties, and we hear a lot of rumblings in the media and elsewhere, particularly about Andrew Scheer's leadership, and we know he has an automatic leadership review coming up in April, where he has to go and face delegates to decide whether he will continue as a leader. That's an automatic review that he has to go through. How do you think he will fare there? Do you think the delegates are, from what you have been hearing and seen in the community, do you think the delegates are looking to change the leader for the Conservative Party, or do you think that he will survive there?
I honestly don't know. And, during the campaign, I have a lot of Conservative friends, and, I like Andrew Scheer a lot. I think that he, did good enough for me. But I think that, if you look at Brampton, right, as we were mentioning, if you look at Brampton, the GTA, and the 905, there wasn't a lot of headway made. We actually didn't do as well as we thought across the board in the GTA, the 905, and the 416. And my opinion is that, I like the guy. He's very likable. He's personable. But you have to convince 100,000 other people that they place their confidence in you. So, is he going to face a challenge? It depends on how the media is going to portray it, and obviously it's in the media. It's a chatter. I'm sure that the leadership team is not. They're not naive to it. But you just got to look at. I think with the party base, I think when you look at the GTA and the 905, the path to a majority government lies through here, right? Yep. And if you look at the map as it currently stands, right, in Brampton, the newly re-elected and elected MPs won by sweeping margins. So one would think that if something doesn't change, that question might come up. Somebody might step forward and say, I'm going to put my name forward, and then what are you going to say to that, right?
That's interesting. So we have been hearing quite a few names. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we'll come right back. Let us sort out some issues here, and we'll continue that conversation. So if we could go to a quick commercial, then we will come right back, and we'll continue right on that point.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Welcome back to On Point. We're sitting here now with Sara Singh, the NDP Deputy Leader, and MPP for Brampton Centre. Sarah, it's great to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jermaine. It's actually great to be here, and I just want to start off by congratulating you on your show. It's my first time here, but no stranger to the TCN family, but welcome. It's really great to be here.
We look forward to having you
Thanks.
again. So Sarah, you're back at Queen's Park. We only have a few minutes, so let's get right into it. So you're back at Queen's Park. How has it been being back? You're on a very long 5 months break. How has it been back, and what are some of the priorities you're looking forward to working on for this new session for this new session?
Absolutely. So it was great to be back. It's been a long 5 months that we were away, and that means that we weren't able to sort of work on the priorities of Ontarians here in the province. So it was great to be back in the legislature, to be able to go through question period and ask the government tough questions with respect to their cuts to healthcare and education here in the province. And so it was good to see my colleagues, and on both sides of the house, if I can just point that out. I like to work with everybody, so it was good to see and be back in the house.
Okay, fair enough. And it seems we're talking earlier with Cody, and we're talking about, it seems to be for the last few days a change in tone at Queen's Park. It doesn't seem as combative rather as it was before the last session. We're looking at the last recent, just completed federal election campaign that delivered a minority parliament, which requires more parties to work together. Are you foreseeing that this will continue at Queen's Park as well, this change in tone, this more working together approach? Is that something you're looking forward to?
Absolutely. I think we're all hoping that, that decorum will improve and that we maintain, good collegial relationships with our other members of provincial parliament. So I'm hopeful that we'll all continue to maintain that decorum. But we'll see how long it lasts at this point, right? We're just pretty early on into it, but we're hopeful that the government is looking to turn a new page.
So let's talk about working together here, Sarah, because you are also working on a private members bill. Yes. Tell us a bit more about that private members bill that you are working on that you want people to know about.
Absolutely. So what I'm working on is hopefully being able to proclaim a Caribbean Heritage Month here in the province of Ontario. It's as someone who's of Caribbean heritage. My mom is from Guyana, and my dad is Punjabi. But growing up, I think we all recognized that there wasn't really a celebration, right, provincially recognized of our community. We have such a rich and vibrant Caribbean community, not only here in Brampton, but across Ontario and Canada. I know yourself, you're Jamaican.
Yes,
so I think, it's about time that, our provincial legislature recognizes the contributions of Caribbean Canadians here in our province and hopefully throughout the rest of the nation. But what we're working on is to consult with community, to develop what they would like to see as legislation celebrating our community. So I've been holding a number of consultations regarding that private members bill, and it's been really great to hear from our diverse community, folks from the Bahamas, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, just to name a few, with respect to what they would like to see this piece of legislation look like here in the province.
Okay. So, at this stage where you are, from viewers out there watching, what are you expecting from them? How can they be a part of the consultation process? How can they be engaged?
Absolutely. So we've been hosting consultations in Toronto at Queen's Park. We had one in Brampton last week. And we have one upcoming on Friday, November 1st in Scarborough, actually, at Warden Hilltop Community Centre, and that's from 7 to 9 p.m. So that's an open invitation to anyone in the community. What I'd suggest that you do is you can visit any of my social media pages, quick Google of Sara Singh, and you'll get those handles. We have a survey there as well, where you can click a link and provide your feedback to us in terms of what month you'd like to see. But you can also RSVP to that upcoming consultation process. If you sign up and you join the mailing list, we can also send you additional information as we bring this historic piece of legislation to the legislature.
Okay. And just finally again, Sarah, having a Caribbean Heritage Month, what does it mean for the community? What does it mean, what does it mean for people of Caribbean heritage on a whole? Why is it important to have this recognition?
Absolutely. So, it's important for us to have this recognition because I think as Canadian Caribbean folks, we've contributed a lot to this province, in all sorts of fields from arts and culture to academia and, entrepreneurship and politics, and that needs to be celebrated. And so a Caribbean Heritage Month would celebrate our contributions here in the province of Ontario. And that's, again, why we want to hear from the community, right? Why would they like to see a Caribbean Heritage Month declared in the province? What is the sort of historical connections they'd like to see tied into this bill? I mean, we've been hearing a number of different suggestions so far in the consultations and our online survey. Everything from connections to summer months and harvest, as we know that's why, for example, Caravana takes place, right? In many of the Caribbean islands, yes, well. A lot of other festivals.
Independence, Emancipation.
Absolutely, Jermaine.
Okay.
So this is why we're inviting community to share with us, regardless of what nation you're from, what you think this bill should be celebrating and why you feel, it's connected to a particular month. What we've been primarily hearing is the month of August is a month that's really popular. But again, that's why we're consulting to make sure it's something the community wants to see.
Two quick things. We're almost out of time here. Just ask my producer to give me an extra minute here. Two quick things. So yesterday we saw Michael Coteau plan to introduce several private members to be recognized in October. How do we reconcile both of those? What's the process going forward since there might be a conflict there?
So, what Michael Coteau did was actually table a bill to recognize October as a month, despite the fact that, we had indicated to him that we were consulting with the community to put forward this piece of legislation, and we still hadn't decided on a month. And so, he has done that. He has tabled the bill, so that means it won't actually be debated in the House. What we will be putting forward in consultation with the community is a bill at the end of November that will be debated in the House and will be voted on and can go to second reading. And so there is a fundamental difference in the bills that we are hoping to put forward. The recognition of October, the bill that has been put forward by Mr. Coteau, celebrates the month of October as Caribbean Heritage Month because the immigration regulations and point system was created then. And while there is, it opened up the door to, large waves of immigrants from a number of different nations. In fact, the Caribbean community did also come over. But at the same time, I think it's important for us to recognize that that immigration policy also had very detrimental impacts on our communities as well. And so hopefully, through conversations again, we're able to put forward legislation that the community feels comfortable with. And again, that's why we're consulting. I'm not sure if Mr. Coteau had those conversations with community.
All right, one final question here. We have to wrap up now, but one final question. We are just completed, let's go to a bit of politics.
Yeah.
One final question. We just completed a federal campaign. The NDP came up a bit short in this campaign. Does Mr. Singh, we were talking earlier with Cody about different leaders and who might be on the leadership review. Does your leader, Jermaine Chambers, does he get to continue on as leader, or should the NDP be looking for a new leader? What are your thoughts on the leadership of the federal NDP and national stage?
Well, I think that's a really great question. I think for us as a party, I think Jermaine Singh did a fantastic job as leader. I think, as a new leader, he faced a number of challenges, and also as a racialized person, he also faced a number of challenges and, frankly, barriers to, running his campaign. But I think overall, despite those barriers and challenges, he ran a very positive campaign that was inspiring, that was hopeful, that engaged people, and that made them think of him differently. And I think as a new leader, that's a tough role to play, walking into a new election. And so I think overall for us, despite the electoral outcome not being what it was, I think for us overall the leadership that Jermaine Singh has demonstrated is one that we'll want to continue on within the party.
All right, there you have an insights into Deputy Leader Sara Singh's thoughts on the future of the federal NDP. Thank you so much for joining us, for watching. Thanks to Cody, who came on earlier to have a quick chat with us as well. This is On Point. Join us again next Tuesday from 4 to 5 when we will discuss more issues of importance to you as Canadians. Thanks for watching.